we go. We're live with the actual first episode, not the proto episode we were doing 2 weeks ago. But I wouldn't say we're better at it right now, but we sound better. Well,
improvements have been made.
$15 have been spent on a microphone headset.
Well, it's something at least. It's something. So yeah, I don't know. Should we just get the show off the road and talk about the topics we have, or do you guys want to talk about what you've been up to the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, I got started in my pre-Smash 4 hype, which I can barely contain anymore. I started a new game of Fire Emblem Awakening. So this is my second time going through the game, and I started on hard mode, and then did one mission, and then just turned it back to normal, because I'm terrible at Fire Emblem. I'm terrible at strategy games in general, so I just went back to a normal mode, and I'm about in the 10th chapter right now. So that's what I've been up to with gaming for the past week or two.
Okay, Tassi?
Recently, I ended up completing The World Ends With You. I've been picking away at it for the past, couple of weeks. And up until, by the time the last podcast was up, I was, near the end anyway. And generally, the only thing that I was, it was generally just for, an ending cutscene anyway, an additional scene at the end. But, they put a lot of stuff at the post game to actually get that. You had to do a bunch of extra stipulations in every chapter, and there was an extra dungeon in the bonus mission, or it's called Another Day. But so after that, I ended up just going back to Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, which When I put that away, I was stuck on Fawful Express, and then the game doesn't seem too hard. It's just that it seems like whenever they expect you to do stuff with the 3DS, like the mic and the gyroscope, it ends up getting or even the touchscreen, it gets kind of frustrating.
I had that problem, but it was more of a hardware problem because my old DS was kind of janky. I could actually take the two halves of the DS and spin them around so that Bowser's Inside Story, I never really got around to playing it because by the time I got a better 3DS or better DS, I had moved on to other things.
Okay. Yeah. Could you just point your microphone a bit away because you're blowing in it while you're speaking? There we go. So.
All right.
There. Thank you.
Yeah. It crept in front of my mouth. I didn't realize.
I haven't done much really gaming-wise. I've been playing some Saints Row the Third, and my usual battles and screaming with the Team Fortress. Also, I'm picking up League again.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, I know. It's a time sink, but I have the rule: only play with friends. Because the other asshats on the internet are not gonna help improving your mood while playing it.
That's very true.
So yeah, that's what I've been up to. So yeah, not many news there, sadly. Well,
Tazzy, the World Ends With You is a game that I've always wanted to like, but I could just never get good enough at how it controls.
Oh yeah, but one of the big problems is that you basically have to stare at both sides of the screen.
Yeah, and it's not only the having to work on top and bottom screens, it's the simultaneous working on the top and bottom screens. I could never quite wrap my head around it, and I would always leave myself vulnerable. I couldn't quite ever get the hang of it.
I got bad enough that there's a strategy on. I was taking the strategies on GameFAQs, and one of them was basically concentrate on the top screen and give the guy on the bottom screen just these pins where you can just kind of hold the pin, your pen on your stylus on the bottom screen, and just let him like use attacks on like from across the screen while the other guy just tap combos in order to try and pass the like in order to do more damage back and forth.
Yeah, if I ever pick up that game again, maybe I'll look into that.
Yeah, GameFAQs is your friend.
I tried to find that game. I was thinking of picking it up actually, but when I found it, I didn't have any money on me, and after that, my game store haven't had it, and I have this rule of not buying games, buying hardware copies of games online because it gets really fucking expensive really quickly.
They have an iPhone port. I don't know exactly how you're going to get that. I'm not an iPhone person, but I know they have an iPhone port.
Maybe it works on the iPad. I don't know.
I think.
I have a hard time wanting to support Square's mobile endeavors after their debacles like what was that Final Fantasy mobile game?
All the Bravest.
Yeah, All the Bravest. You just swipe the screen. Square is getting particularly egregious with their mobile usage and free-to-play garbage.
It's like they maybe should reconsider this gaming thing and just start making movies. I mean, all their graphic and cinematics and all that, it just looks great, but the games are mediocre. Sometimes.
We'll see how 15 turns out.
We'll see how 15 turns out. Yep.
Yeah. I don't have my hopes up, but here's hoping that they can really make a fun game with this one.
Have a little optimism there.
I have. It's just that I'm getting kind of cynical because since 10 that was kind of popular. I haven't really got caught in any of the games, but that's just my opinion.
I've heard good things about 13, but I've never played it myself.
I've also heard bad things about 13, but I'm not that RPG kind of guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's hard to it's hard to find a good balance because some people love some of the games, some people just hated it. Yeah, but anyway, moving on with the topics because I actually have we actually have topics this time. I wrote them down. So.
That's how you know we have topics.
Yeah, exactly.
You wrote them down.
I wrote them down. I was prepared this time. I'm so freaking happy. Anyway, we're all gathered because we are gamer nerds to some extent, some more than others. But how did it start? People might just be curious.
You go first, Tazzy.
God, we're all waiting. Well, technically, I started from almost birth. My parents had an Atari 2600, but you see, it was way like I was from the 90s, so basically, there wasn't. It was just kind of there, and I never really paid much more attention to it than I like anything else I would play with. So I would play with toys. I would play with this 2600. I would play with more toys. It was just a thing that was there. I never really got interested in video games until my 6th birthday, when my uncle got me a Super Nintendo. But the thing is, I had no idea what was popular at all. Like, none of the kids I hung out with at school really talked about games. I never had anyone who really talked about games until I reached high school. So until that, mostly I had to go off my own sense of what a good game was. And usually that kind of ended up going into, comic book and TV show licenses. Not all the time, but some of the time.
Well, Super Nintendo, that wasn't... There was good stuff in that realm.
So mostly, while everybody else was playing Super Metroid, A Link to the Past, Star Fox, I picked up King of the Monsters 2, Sky Blazer, and Separation Anxiety. So,
okay.
None of the actual good comic book genre stuff that I was referring to.
I picked up a lot of games through Blockbuster. I played Star Fox, and I swear I played Mega Man X3, but, a lot of the time it ended up just kind of, I I usually played these games I was really dumb. And usually how it would go is I would play a game, I would stop, and then I wouldn't save anything, or I would play the game again and start from the beginning again. So usually it would just be playing this first 3 hours of a game over and over and over and over again. I wasn't really I wouldn't really become that much more interested in gaming until I got an N64 and a copy of Nintendo Power from my grandma. So until then, it was just kind of like I just picked up something because it had a nice cover, pretty much.
Yeah, I think that was the way most people went with it, because as kids, you go for the coolest looking stuff, really.
And what's cooler than dinosaurs, comic book heroes, and Eek the Cat? I don't want to talk about Eek the Cat. I also had a basketball game that relied heavily on Mode 7, but like I said, I was never that much interested in beating games so much as just playing the first 3 hours of it constantly.
Okay. Well, my first memory of me playing a game is it's in one of those fast food restaurants, and they had 2 arcade machines. One was Outrun, the other one I don't remember what it was, but I was just fascinated with the graphics on Outrun. This must be in 92, 93, so I was 2-3 years old, and I think and a couple of years later, because my mother wasn't that high on technology, so we had a TV and a radio. That was basically it. So I think it waited to maybe 2 years later. Then I got an NES, and maybe 2 years after that, when the NES broke down. Still don't know how that happened, because all other NESs I have seen just have a bad connector. This one died.
Literally gave up the ghost.
Yeah, I was small at the time, but I understand when something breaks, because the light would not turn on. And then we got a Super Nintendo, and some games on the Windows 95. And I remember on the Windows 95, and I think this is partly why I became such a computer gaming nerd, but I remember it was so fun to type out everything, because for some reason Windows 95 died, so we had to go boot all the games up in DOS.
As it usually does, 95.
Yeah, but so I had to sit and type out everything. I had this list of games taped on the computer screen of, you have to type this to play this, and so on and so on and so on. I had loads of fun with that. And then it just expanded as I grew older. And pretty much every game I played when I was younger, I tried to find again, and to be able to play them as I grew older. Especially after I managed to find work. So it just expanded from there.
Yeah, I have no experience and no real perspective on the whole playing games on Windows 95 and running things off of DOS. I do nothing like that.
I do, kind of. That's because we had a 95 computer, but one of the reasons I'm a console gamer and not a PC one is that the first game that I think we ever got for the PC, pure game and not something that's like edutainment or has some sort of other use for it, was Alone in the Dark. And if that tells you, and knowing that how different that is from most other games, you can tell how we mostly just kind of abandoned computers for any sort of video game entertainment.
Yeah,
really.
I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I'll go then.
Yeah.
You are the last one.
Basically, right when I was born, my family got a Super Nintendo, and so my older siblings, I'm the youngest in the family, so my older siblings were rocking the Super Nintendo all through my baby years, and we also had an NES, but I really mostly remember the Super Nintendo because of things like Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, like I, just from watching my brother and my sisters play, I do not recall a time during which I did not know every single secret in Donkey Kong Country and all 96 exits in Super Mario World. I can't even like fathom me not knowing those things. Like they're as much a part of me as like the alphabet. So that's kind of where I got my start in gaming. And
yeah, you know, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, get that key and take it back to the beginning of the stage.
Jump off Yoshi on Butter Bridge. Abandon him in the pit. Anyway. So that's kind of where I got, you know, my start in gaming was mostly Super Nintendo stuff. Played a lot of Mario. And then I would also play the old NES games, old at that time. Really loved Kirby's Adventure, and my friend and I would play a lot of Duck Hunt. And then when we got bored with Duck Hunt, we would play Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And so I have some of the biggest nostalgia for a game for Turtles in Time, because that game is just so fun.
Yeah, I remember when I friends. I haven't always lived out in the wild, but when I was younger, I had neighbors that had Turtles in Time, and I remember for like months we would just go down to them and play Turtles in Time until we were until it was dinner time, and then we had to go home.
My friend Micah and I had a tradition where on sewer surfing, we had to get up and stand and act like we were surfing while we were playing that level. And I still do that from time to time. If I'm ever playing Turtles in Time alone, it just feels wrong to be sitting down while sewer surfing.
I hope you don't actually stub your toe while playing that game.
No, I don't. I don't scream.
Keep all end tables away.
It's like I have something like that with Cruising USA. I think it's the third course. If I don't listen to one particular track of that while doing that course, I can play it. It just feels off for some damn reason. I need that music in the background.
There's just something missing.
Yeah.
Beats and boops.
So
exactly.
From that point on, I've been kind of a Nintendo fanboy, and I'm proud to say it. I got the translucent green N64 with Donkey Kong Country packed in.
Nice.
I got that for, I don't know what birthday it was. It would have been right when DK64 was released. So I don't know, what was that? 99, 2000.
Yeah, 99 I think was released.
Yeah. So my brother had the 64, but he lived in a dorm. We all went to a boarding school, so he would often have the 64 at school, and I would just play the Super Nintendo at home.
Okay. Yeah.
Then I got that 64, and from that point on, my brother and I got separate systems for ourselves and shared games back and forth, or eventually got our own games. Yeah. And it's kind of that brings me.
Just fun thing. Speaking of Donkey Kong, I have the expansion pack right sitting beside me here for the Nintendo. Oh yeah. But anyway, with all the games we played in our days, I'm pretty damn sure we haven't finished all of them.
No way.
And not even close.
We should have this massive backlogs of games we just feel like we aren't done with them. We need to sit down and actually finish them. We might have plowed hours into them, but never actually finished them. And I'm not just talking like 100%, it's just beat them once, not getting stuck on the final boss or anything.
That is also a problem.
So yeah.
Off the top of my head, just the most recent ones that I have bought and have not beaten are Mario and Luigi Dream Team and Luigi's Mansion 2. Not because they're bad. They kind of had bad timing because I was playing Luigi's Mansion 2 and then Pokemon X came out. And you guys know that I am a huge Pokemon fan,
Yeah,
and so I started to pour hours and hours into Pokemon, and Luigi's Mansion 2 just kind of got left behind. Even it's a really good game. I really enjoyed it. I'm probably about halfway through. I just haven't gone back.
Yeah. Luigi's Mansion 2. It's really like there are parts that I really liked, but like there were also really, really frustrating and terrible parts that I don't like. I hate. Did you ever get to the secret mine?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I think I'm around there somewhere. Is it the really cold place?
It's the really cold place with the rope you have to go past, and the boss that you have to press bombs at.
I'm not at the boss yet, but I think I'm at the right place at least. It's an interesting kind of layout. The problem
It's not even the ice. It's everything else that they do with it that frustrates me.
Yeah,
But
some parts of that map it just drags on and it's boring. It's hard to go around. It drags down the tempo a bit.
yeah, I guess you could say it was that.
I'm happy that I was able to support that franchise though, because I really loved the first game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It still had the charm of the original.
Right, and it also had a lot more varied environments.
Yeah.
The rest of the game is great. It's just that I don't like Secret Mine. That's it. Everything else is fine for me.
Well, when I pick up the game again, I'll remember if I start to hate the secret mine to just plow through and get on with the rest of the game. But I got a lot farther in Luigi's Mansion 2 than I did in Dream Team, because the first hour and a half to 2 hours of Dream Team is like some of the most uninspired, boring game exposition I've ever encountered. Like, I think I just closed the game after about the second hour, and I was like, literally nothing has happened yet. Like, nothing is going on right now. I haven't fought anything worthwhile. And I just closed it, and I was like, I'll get back to it later. And I never did. I think I restarted a game of, Mega Man 3 or something, and I just couldn't. I never went back to it. I just lent it to my brother, and when he gives it back, I'll probably go back to it. But right now, it's just that game has not grabbed me whatsoever.
Okay. Yeah, I can. I have a couple of those, too.
Such as?
Yeah, I'm looking through. I actually have a couple of the games here. So, Super Mario Bros. Lost Levels.
You have that on your computer desk.
Yeah, I have the All-Stars cartridge here.
That's probably the way to play that game.
Yeah.
On your computer.
No, I'm not gonna play it on the computer. I'm gonna do this
Plug it in.
the hard way. I'm gonna plug it in and play this motherfucker until I'm done.
The All-Stars version of that game is probably the best one to play, because that way you don't get hopelessly lost in the maze levels.
Yeah.
Because they actually have the ding and the buzzer.
The ding, and they have a sound effect when you go through the maze correctly.
Yeah, and without those, it's really hard to tell the arbitrary this is when you failed. This is the point. If you went around this block, you did it right. It's really hard to tell.
Am I going the right way? Ah!
Exactly. I have time expired so many times on the NES or Famicom version of Lost Levels.
Yeah, I have a couple of those too, more than I really want to admit to. Yeah. I also have, I think I have it here somewhere. I brought it with me so I wouldn't forget it. Oh yeah, Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Oh. Well, that is a game. I can see why you're stuck.
That is a game.
I can also see how you should be able to make it, because it's hard. It's really
You
not hard.
technically have to beat it twice, but
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, It's hard, but I think it's hard because of the right reasons. I know the game throws some bullshit at you, but it managed to always be entertaining and managed to always want to strive further and actually beat the game.
Yeah, that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
Because some games are just bad, and they're hard because they're bad.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
This is hard because it's good. They placed stuff in particular places just so it would be hard. And after watching a couple of speedrunners speedrun the game, I'm going, yeah, it can't be that hard.
Speedrunners make everything look easy.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
Well, when it comes to me, as I've said before, when I was young, there were a lot of games I just played the first 3 hours of over and over again. So I do have, there's like a bunch of games that I have bought and never actually bothered to beat. But I've been slowly picking away at that, and for the most part, there's most of the games that I have on like any sort of list that I'm currently running through. It's either games that I've either beat and I'm on my way to completing, or I've just started, except for 2 games, and that's Persona 4 and Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. And there's a reason for that. But, you see, like a few months ago, the Blockbuster that's across the street from where I live was going out of business, and so they were selling, like, everything. Like movies, their own furniture, and games.
Yeah.
And there were like a few games that like caught my attention, but the one I decided I was going to pick up was Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. There was also a friend of mine also picked up like Far Cry 3, and he mostly just regrets that purchase now, but for different reasons. But mostly the main problem came up. The fact that Ni no Kuni is actually kind of difficult, and that I mostly got I'm at like this volcano, but there was like a boss beforehand that was like mostly kicked my partners behind and left me all alone, and left me to believe that I have no idea on how to actually play that game. But the main problem was that a lot of people in the house like. They do want to play, like, they all are currently wanting to play through a Persona game, and one of them wants to play through Persona 3, one wants to play through Persona 4, and there was a time where, like, I was like, I want to actually beat Persona 4, because I bought it way back, and I never actually bothered to get through it, so... But the thing is, despite one being a PS3 game and the other being a PS2 game, my PS2 is practically dead, so
is it the older model or is it the newer PS2 Slim?
No, it's the old model.
Oh, it's the old building side of the machine. Okay.
Yeah. So what problem is that I have Persona 4 on the PS3, but the problem is I don't want to pull it out. Because I feel like if I do and I put something else in there, even temporarily, I'm threatening the fact that I'm going to just drop it and then like 2 years later pick it back up and it's like, where am I? I don't know where I am. I might as well just start over again, and I want to actually beat it.
Well, 2 years is about how long it takes to beat a Persona game, so...
I'm like on the 4th dungeon now. Hopefully I can manage to pull through all of it.
Yeah, and also I recognize that that particular sickness because I tried recently, most of the forums actually tried to beat Final Fantasy VI, and I was doing good time. Then my emulator decided to eat my save files, and I went fuck it. So I put that one on ice again.
Have you beaten it before, Jer?
No, I haven't. I have managed to get to that. I managed to get to the airship, but that's pretty much it. No longer.
See, I was in your boat. I was actually the one that instigated that big VGF playthrough of Final Fantasy VI because I had never beaten it. That was like top of my backlog priority list. And this summer I actually got my nose to the grindstone and beat that game, and I'm really glad that I did.
Yeah, I say I put it on ice, but it's high up on the pile of games I'm actually gonna try to play through in the future. It's just that I'm having fun with other games at the moment.
Yeah,
So
isn't that...
I'm just gonna plow through them until I get bored again, and then I'm gonna pick those games up again.
Gotcha. Yeah, Final Fantasy VI, I'm really glad that one's off my backlog.
It's a
but
massive game.
it got replaced in my backlog list by Final Fantasy VII, which I've also never played. And I understand that 7... The community of 7 is really interesting to me because, like, you have the people who hail it as being, like, the best game in the world. And then the backlash to that is just as strong, where the people are like, 7 is overrated. So I never really get a clear impression of what Final Fantasy VII actually is, because I'm either being told that it's the best thing ever created, or it's the most overrated pile of trash ever. So I really want to play it with an open mind and be like, okay, this is what Final Fantasy VII is. I understand it might not be as good as the other Final Fantasies I've played, but I need to play it just because of its influence and its kind of ubiquitous nature in the video game community.
Well, either you like Cloud's Popeye arms or you don't.
Yeah.
I feel like being a fan of JRPGs without having played Final Fantasy VII is kind of like being a fan of fighting games and never playing Super Street Fighter 2. You know, it's just a big hole in my gaming experience that I've got to fill eventually.
Yeah, I can understand. I mean, it did a lot for the. I wouldn't say it did a lot for the RPG games, but I think the community that spawned from it have done a lot for keeping RPG games alive and getting them in the direction they are going right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I mean, because you have to be kind of a diehard fan to actually sit down and take the hours it's gonna take you to play through those kind of games.
Right. I think, I don't know, just a lot of what Final Fantasy VII did, you still see today. Like, although I guess like pre-rendered backgrounds are kind of unique to that PSX era of RPGs, which I miss. Pre-rendered backgrounds are beautiful.
Yeah.
Some of those environments in 7, 8, and 9 are just breathtaking.
It gives the game a style that's it's really hard to. I wouldn't say it's hard to emulate, but it's hard to get that visual effect with today's games.
Right. If you want to move the camera around at all.
That's the thing. Like, why do you have to move the camera around? Why can't you just appreciate the beauty of the perspective you're given? You know, I don't think that
I can.
You need to be in that third-person view, like right behind the character, and
for something like RPGs, I don't. Yeah, I guess I can see that you wouldn't really want to move the camera around. A free-form camera movement, you don't need it.
Not in an RPG. Like in a platformer, yeah, that you need that kind of thing. But in an RPG where the game is very, or let's specify in a JRPG, not like a CRPG or anything like that.
Yeah.
Where the game is more or less on rails, which I'm not using as a derogatory term because being on rails is not always a bad thing. But in a game that steers you directly through the story where you need to go, you don't need freeform camera movement. And if you don't need freeform camera movement, you can really do some cool things with the environment and the perspective. Whatever. I'm on my high horse now.
Yeah. I understand what you're coming from. I mean, if railroading railroading was something bad, we wouldn't have movies these days.
Linearity isn't exactly a bad thing. I would even argue that being too open would probably just can confuse a lot of people.
I agree.
As you said before, if you put something down and start RPG, if you stop playing an RPG for a while, you start it up again, you don't know where you're supposed to go.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people in the gaming community these days are very judgmental of games that are linear, and they've started to think they take the gaming mainstream and look at games like Skyrim and mostly Skyrim and games in that vein, and they're like, oh man, Zelda isn't open world enough. And it's like, well, it's not trying to be open world.
No.
It's trying to be, and Zelda, it maybe not be the best example because games like Link Between Worlds and Zelda 2015 are more freeform.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think, Tazy, you're about to say, like, Link Between Worlds isn't exactly open world, but...
I was more thinking about, like, if you look at stuff like, I might kind of feel like that's that sort of weird corporate idea where it's like, what's popular right now? Skyrim, Grand Theft Auto, Minecraft. Oh, what do these games have in common, and how can we use them in our game over and over again?
But linearity is not a bad thing, and I wish that people in the gaming community would stop treating it as such. And because if you can have a linear story and still make people experience emotions and character development through that story, you have a good game.
You shouldn't shoehorn open worldness into like a game, yeah. Especially if it sacrifices what the game's entirety is about, or like what it should be. There's no reason to have a giant hub world full of buildings and people to talk to and missions to complete when you can just kind of go from stage to stage in a much quicker way and much more enjoyable fashion.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense, yeah.
Backlog.
I kind of lost you there because you you started to go too fast for me to process the words. But yeah, back to backlogs.
Yeah, tangent. Kind of got on a tangent there, but tangents can be good.
Yeah, if they're interesting, I'm just gonna let them go. But yeah, another game I'm deeply ashamed I haven't finished is the Banjo-Kazooie series.
Now, when you say Banjo-Kazooie series, what games are we talking
about? I'm talking about the first two for the 64, and actually the ones for the Xbox 2. But I'm not taking that one as seriously because I don't own an Xbox.
Okay. There's like the ones for the Game Boy Advance, but like they're actually.
I want to play that too. It's just that I don't have the game. And I'm limiting myself to the games I actually have. Otherwise, it would be I would be in deep shit because then it would be a lot of games to go through. But yeah, and that's also the kind of games I played them. I got maybe halfway, start to do a little roaming around and see what I can do, and then I just lose interest because I hit a hard section, and just had to give up.
I think
which is a bit sad actually, but that's how I work that way, kind of, because when it gets what I feel unnecessarily hard, I kind of get pissed and just drop it there, and if I don't feel like it's worth it, I'm not gonna pick that thing up again.
Well,
I actually just eliminated Banjo-Tooie from my backlog recently.
Oh, nice.
Before Final Fantasy VI, so I was in the same boat for a while.
Yeah, I need to play both games because I haven't owned them personally, but I made a save file on a buddy's cart and played on that when he felt generous enough to lend it to me over weekends. And so I managed to get quite a way. But then we started to get up in age, and I had to move for 100 kilometers to go to the gymnasium. So it started to get really hard to borrow games. If you're gonna be away for like 3-4 months.
I'm just kind of lucky that the two people that I would borrow games from live in the same house as me.
Okay, I didn't have that luxury.
Yeah, as I said before, I don't know if I said The World Ends With You was part of a challenge on the forums, but The World Ends With You was part of a challenge on the forums.
All right.
So I re-entered that challenge after completing after that 1 month, and I've currently been challenged to do Psychonauts. The thing is, I was playing through that at a decent clip, and I was actually near the end of the game. I think it was 1 to 2 worlds away in Psychonauts. But like I said before, my PS2 is practically dead. I'm not really. I'm thinking maybe I would open it up at some point and see if there's something wrong. For now anyway, that was I was playing Psychonauts right when that was starting to break down, and as a result, none of the cutscenes would play at all. In-game cutscenes would, but once it decided to move to its own personal, once it started going into pre-rendered and stuff that was all using different files to play, then it wouldn't play them. It would just skip them entirely.
Yeah.
So I was in Black Velvetopia being chased by a bull, and then suddenly I'm in this wrestling ring, and it's what's going on? What?
Quick tip there, what it might actually be, because it sounds a bit like the laser in the disc reader is starting to get bad. So if you're really lucky, it's just that you need to either clean it, adjust it. I don't remember how you do it on the old PlayStations, but I know that you have some. You can fiddle with them so they get straight again. Or you might just have to remove and change the laser entirely. But my suggestion there is just gonna get a new PlayStation 2. They're dirt cheap on eBay.
Well, the thing is, like I said, someone I live with has a PlayStation 2 already, so I can use that. Yeah. And that's what I've been doing recently. I've only played one session so far and got through this the second world in the game, I know for a fact that this game gets unreasonably difficult, especially on the final world where I can just go completely bonkers. But I'm just preparing myself for that and trying to get as much resources as I can to get as many abilities as I possibly can.
I guess Psychonauts would technically be in my backlog as well because I got it in a Humble Bundle at one point. But I guess I haven't tested it on my new laptop, but I'm pretty sure that I'm 100% sure that my old laptop wouldn't handle it. It couldn't play it. I haven't tried it on my new one yet.
I also have Psychonauts. I forgot that.
Oh yeah, we all have Psychonauts.
Probably, yeah.
And I have Steam now, so maybe I should give that a shot.
Yeah.
Although every time I open Steam these days, I just go straight to Crypt of the Necrodancer. So.
Yeah, I have a friend that he plays that a lot on his stream, so I've been seeing what it's all about. It looks fun.
Crypt of the Necrodancer?
Yeah.
It's great. It is worth picking up. It's still in early access right now, but the full game should be out by the end of the year.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I just kind of abandoned early access because I bought Rust on early access, and now they're changing the game and into something I really don't want to play.
You're trying to have a battle with the people who make YouTube videos and stare at the characters' junk all day.
Something along those lines, but
not that bad. Still,
I was actually kind of intelligent. I moved away from everybody.
It unfortunately has the same sort of problem that DayZ did. I think I'm getting the name right. Yeah, DayZ. Yeah. Where it was you basically just go into a server and then it's just full of jerks.
Yeah, camping the spawn points.
So the internet.
Yeah, pretty much. But
I don't like to call it that, but yeah, the internet.
Yeah.
But if you're leery of early access, I don't think that Crypt of the Necrodancer is a game to be leery about.
No,
because it's very well established what it is and what it's going to be.
Yeah, you need to watch out for that. I learned that now.
You need to be careful when it comes to early access games.
Yes.
I think Crypt is a safe bet though. I don't.
Yeah, it is in such a finished state that if they're gonna change something, it's gonna delay the game with like a year. Maybe that's an overstatement. Maybe a couple of months at least. If they all of a sudden want to have it a platformer.
I think you were just mostly just talking about if they were going to change it or like change anything, they would have to change most of the game as it is already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
No.
They wouldn't.
That game is very well established. Its premise.
Yeah. Anyway, we need to move along because I actually have a third topic.
Oh, surprise topic.
Surprise!
Yes, a surprise topic.
I like surprises.
We actually have kind of discussed it already, but do you have with the quite extensive backlog we have and all the games we played, do you have any games you could recommend? And I think we already graced that with talking about the games we have been playing.
Well, I would take any opportunity to plug Fire Emblem Awakening because that game is just so good. And if you've played Fire Emblem before and have not played Fire Emblem Awakening, what are you doing? Because it's really, really good and it's a great installment in that series. Yeah. If you've never played, hold on, let me finish real quick. Yeah. If you've never played Fire Emblem and you have not played Fire Emblem Awakening, go play it because it's a great introduction to that series. It stands alone by itself really well. It's just all around a fantastic game. And yeah, if you have not played that game, you should play it no matter what your situation.
Is that the one for the Game Boy Advanced?
That is 3DS.
3DS.
Ah, okay, yeah. I have to look into that then. I mean, I really like the Advance Wars series, so I really need to look into that series of games because, from my understanding, they are similar.
Yeah, it's quite good. It's not quite as I find Advanced Wars gets really too deep strategically. Yeah. Like, I'm not that good at the strategy games in general.
Yeah.
So for me to keep track of the Advanced Wars, yeah, I would say like triangle, but that's not even what it is because it's like, well, helicopters beat bombers, but bombers beat land units, but anti-airs beat planes, and it's just like it's this crazy web that I can never keep track of, and I always lose.
Oh, okay.
Fire Emblem, it doesn't get quite that crazy about it, but it has a lot more RPG, class changing, and statistic elements to it.
Okay, then I understand. Yeah.
I know that this game I'm about to talk about has a sort of not really highest opinion on VGF, but I'm just gonna say Kid Icarus Uprising. Kid Icarus Uprising.
Oh.
Kid Icarus Uprising.
Who has a low opinion of Kid Icarus Uprising on VGF?
AI and SD, last I heard, but
yeah, I heard some people say that they liked it, but they weren't all that impressed over it.
Anything that they do can be kind of you can basically change much of like any reason anyone has any problems with it, you can kind of fix it. You can change the controls if that's your problem. If it's too hard or easy, you can set it, and you don't really lose anything from like having it a higher or lower difficulty outside of like going outside certain gates or anything. It's mostly just like the story is really interesting, the characters I like, the gameplay is fantastic. Outside of very few instances where like you mostly just can be fixed by changing controls around a bit,
Oh,
and like it's not and like I found like a lot of enjoyment from it personally. So
Getting
like pretty much if anyone who's on the fence, like you, you can probably find it like at a discounted price these days. So
probably,
I would
yeah.
say that if anyone who really wants to enjoy like something similar to Star Fox or something similar to Sin and Punishment or like a one of those games where like it's mostly like a rail shooter,
Real
that's
shooter,
like
yeah.
really it's really enjoyable. It has a lot of depth to it that you would like get even if you're just kind of playing it to beat it. It's like very fun. I would recommend it to anyone who has a 3DS and wants that sort of game.
Yeah, that game is actually part of my backlog. I got to about probably like the 8th world, and that was a launch title for 3DS, wasn't it?
and
It was like within the first year, I think.
It was a
Yeah.
launch window.
yeah,
Um,
I think it was the game that was supposedly to bring some life into the sales of the 3DS.
Well-
I can't swear on it.
That was another timing issue because I got that game, started playing it, and then I believe it was Mario 3D Land came out. And I jumped right onto Mario 3D Land, and I never went back to Uprising. And I'd like to beat Uprising because I want, that's another franchise that I would like to support. And plus, I kind of want to play it to see if I can actually justify a certain character's inclusion into the Smash 4 roster. I will keep this podcast spoiler free, but I think those of you who know the Smash 4 roster know which
I
character.
think
I'm
we
talking.
wink, wink, nudge.
Yeah, okay, Tazzy, is his inclusion legitimate in Smash 4, or is it just Sakurai playing favorites?
I think it's Sakurai playing favorites. Right
Okay, all right.
now, personally.
Fair enough.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, I haven't looked too deep into that, but I feel like that's also one of the games I need to play just because I like the first one and the Game Boy one. I played like 5 minutes of that one before I stopped playing, but that was because
It's
of other
very different.
things.
I
know.
actually just downloaded the 3D Classic of the original because I had some Club Nintendo coins, and that was one of the rewards. So I picked that up. I'm looking to play that soon too.
You silly Americans and your Club Nintendo.
Oh, sorry. I'll try to. I won't mention Club Nintendo on the podcast.
Nah, it's okay, man. It's just that I want the cool stuff too.
You have something like that?
No, not really. Not in Europe.
That's too bad.
Oh.
Not what I know of, at least, that I can go in and make sure that my 3DS get incorporated into it. So, yeah. I'm a bit sad over that. But games I would recommend. I actually have a couple of them. And the first one is one of these pointless games, but Marble Madness. Dear God, I love Marble Madness to the NES. I can sit and play that game for hours. And I know it's a time waster. Time sink, you just roll your little ball into the finish line. But I freaking love the game. Just because I think it's entertaining and gives you the decent challenge.
I should emulate that. I don't know that at all.
From what I've seen, it's surprisingly challenging.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, you should. I think it's a really good game. Overall, just it's hard and it can be a bit unfair, but you keep playing and you get really damn good at it.
It is mostly a trial and error sort of game, but that's mostly just because of you do have to do that in order to actually understand what you need to do to get through each stage as fast as possible. Because really, the only problem you're going to have is with the timer. Nothing else really ends your game other than that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you have to learn to beat the game fast.
Yeah.
And I really like that to go and optimize my play style everything. So I think it really fits me. Another game I think it's not really a game, but it's a franchise. It's a newer game, but it's the MotorStorm series. Pacific. I think the second one is Pacific Rift, and the other one is
Pacific Rim?
No, Pacific Rift.
Okay.
And the other one is I have it, but yeah, I don't remember the name. But Pacific Rift. If you love racing games, just silly race, cause mayhem and destroy your opponents and fiery death of metal and burning gasoline. It's the game for you.
I would play a racing game based off of Pacific Rim, personally.
I would too. I would too.
Kaiju racing.
Can you imagine?
Why does a kaiju racing game not exist?
I don't know, but the idea of just racing around in giant mechas, it's appealing. I have to give it that.
And it could be co-op.
One guy races and the other one fires the cannons.
Yeah, some double dash action.
That would be interesting.
Would kind of work. It would.
I think we have an idea, guys. Maybe we should run with it.
Can any one of you guys code?
Let's pitch it to Del Toro and see if he enjoys it.
Get Guillermo on the phone. All right. Well, we're reaching an hour here. So.
Yeah, we
far
are
into it.
We are 56 minutes and 30 seconds into it. I think we've done pretty good for our first episode.
Our first real episode.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to agree on that.
I'm just sorry.
Compared to the last one.
It isn't that funny, but I found it really funny for some reason.
I'm glad that I am able to occasionally strike your funny bone. All right. Well, sounds like we're wrapping up here.
Yeah, we are. I mean, I'm out of topics. I still have a fuck ton of games I could recommend, but
maybe we could kind of make this a regular thing. You know, maybe each have a game to recommend every episode or something like that.
Yeah, I'll have to get ready on that one if that's the case.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, we have the massive backlog, but I think we have games where I've played enough to the point where
I think I've played enough obscure games.
I've finished more games than I have left unfinished. So I do have that in my cap, my feather in my cap. I know that Shane was saying that he owns like hundreds of games that he's never even played.
Because he buys them for $1 or less.
Because he gets them all on sale. But most of the games that I own, I have beat. So.
One of few people that actually have done that. One of few, I have to say.
I do what I can.
Yeah. Yeah. Well then, I think we're all done here. So, should we say goodbye and get together in 2 weeks again?
Sounds great.
Sounds like a plan.
So, October 5th then.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
So say goodbye, everybody. I'm ending the recording now.
Goodbye, everybody. I'm ending the recording now. 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 I'm ending the recording.